All right, everybody's in. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's event. Thank you so much for all who log into all the B social events. I'm a new face. I haven't seen any of the B social events before. My name is Mark. I work at the Whitaker group. You see probably a familiar face around the corner with Tara from our side. And tonight, we're just glad to be able for all you guys to join us for a great conversation around something that ties us a lot of us together in terms of passion, which is our passion for sneakers, our love and passion for sneakers. And we're joined tonight by a number of wonderful, wonderful people who are not only great contributors to sneaker community in and around our different communities here, but have outstanding stories too as well and can contribute great to the conversation from our side. Tonight, our focus is sneaker origin stories, and I'll start off first and foremost with intros across the board. We'll start, with the man in some case who needs no introduction, Dr. Jermaine King. We'll give you the opportunity to do the intros across the board, and we'll pass the mic all throughout to the rest of the panel. Dr. King, a quick intro from your side.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. I'm Jermaine King, Franklin, Virginia, professor of English and Black Studies at Johnson C. Smith University, sneaker culture practitioner, author of the book Soul Food Digestible Sneaker Culture, and creator of the class English 296, IDS 296, Soul Food Digestible Sneaker Culture.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us, Dr. King. I'm going to go in nondescript order. I'm going left to right here. So I'm going to put Kiara on the spot. Kiara, thank you again for joining us. Kiara, just a quick overview intro from you too as well.
Sure. So, hey, everybody. My name is Kiara. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, 31 years young. I'm a project manager by day. I also am a ghostwriter for Black-owned businesses. And then on the sneaker side, I run Chic and Sneaks on Instagram, and then also just building my brand, chicandsneaks.com. Excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us, Kiara. I'm going to bounce right to Jenna because I'm going left to right here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna. I'm 28 years old. I was born in Greensboro. I've been living in Charlotte since I was in first grade. I'm an operations manager by day and a sneakerhead outside of being an operations manager.
All right. And we're going to pass off to Jerry now. Jerry, quick intro from yourself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jerry Backus. I'm 26 years old. I'm an auditor by day. I'm a sneakerhead in the evening. I actually think this is about to be my 10-year anniversary of sneaker collecting, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining too as well. We have a lot more people who are joining in the conversation now, so thank you for hopping on. I'm just going to start off really quickly. And I'll zero in on Dr. King first because I kind of know where that passion story starts from. But it's important to ask to all of you, what's that first sneaker moment in your life? And there's a start to all your stories here. This focus is sneaker origin stories. What's that first memory? What's that first story that started it all? Jerry, you 10 years ago. Kiara, a number of years ago, Jenna. But Dr. King, we'll start here because that's a bit of the focus of a lot of your work all throughout. What's that moment that started it all?
Well, if we take it back to the origin, there was that urban myth, the urban legend that if Nikes, right? Like Nikes, you could run faster and jump higher and all that. And I remember specifically asking my mother, like, hey, it's not like I didn't have name brand sneakers at the time, but I just didn't pay attention to them. And in kindergarten, I said, it was like that period between kindergarten and first grade. And I asked, hey, may I have a pair of Nikes because I want to run fast. Legitimately, I want to run fast. And she brought me, from memory, it must have been a pair of Blazers. I remember they were white and a little darker than Columbia blue, the swoosh. And I immediately put them on and immediately went outside to test the theory. So we can say that it starts there.
That's a pretty fun one. That's actually a really interesting one. Jen, I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. What's that first story for you?
First grade, Allen Iverson, red toe questions. That was my first pair of sneakers that my mom bought me. And that is a big shoe for me because I'm a big Allen Iverson fan. So that's where it started.
Nice. And is that something that's carried on through the years? Have you gone back to like seek them out? And
Yeah, I have like 2 pairs, 3 pairs.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Kiara, that first sneaker moment, what is it?
Up tempo 96s. I was 7 years old, and I remember my grandpa would come into town, and I told him, I was like, Grandpa, I need these sneakers, because I knew my mama wasn't gonna buy them. I know she ain't here. I love you, Mom, but you know, you didn't. She was like, listen, Nike ain't about to get all my money. So my grandpa was like, let's go to the mall. If you had good grades, if you were doing good in school, if you was listening to your mom, like, I'll buy them. And that was the first. After that, it was a wrap. So I was 7. That was a shoe that set it off for me.
And have you gone back and gotten retros ever since when they came back?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How many colorways do you have of it?
Just two. I'm the classic. It's the classic for me though. Like that classic black. It'll always hold a special place. So some of the colorways that they have been dropping, it's like, okay, I love the silhouette, but it's the classic black and white one for me.
Right. That's dope. That's a solid one right there. Jerry, you said 10 years ago. What was that moment that kickstarted 10 years and you never looked back?
That moment 10 years ago, and I never looked back, is the first paycheck that I got when I got my pizza delivery job. I'd been waiting to get a pair of shoes. I didn't care what was coming out that weekend. I was going to be at the mall to camp out and get it. And to my surprise, nobody was at the mall. So I was like, man, I guess he's on a good shoe. But it turned out to be the Fire Red 3s. And I love that shoe so much. Like, I think I've went through 3 lace swaps on them. I still have that pair that's about 10 years old. The paint is chipping off the midsole. And it's still in my rotation. Like, you still might catch me in them. And they look fresh now, like, because I swap out the laces so they look fresh. But if you look at them close, if I ever take them off and you'll see the paint chipped off on the midsole. So if anybody in here knows how to like fix that might be able to like hook me up with some paint, like let me know. But yeah, that's still my first pair that started it all.
Now that's interesting that you talk about like that was like 10 years ago. And I think, the industry has changed so much through the years. With Dr. King on the side, we've talked about that a number of times before, but like, I'd love to hear from all of you, what sparked the interest to collecting? Because obviously you start, but I'll start with you, Jerry. Like, to build up from there, what were those, was it sport? Was it culture? What were those areas really that kind of tickled and promoted that feeling of collecting for you?
So for me, I grew up in Charlotte. So we had Carolina Place, we had South Park, Concord Mills. Those are like our big malls. So everybody basically wore the same clothes. Like, online shopping wasn't as prevalent as it is right now in this moment. So the way to become an individual and to set yourself apart, set your outfits apart, was sneakers. So that was my thing. And as time went on, I think you mentioned the sneaker industry has changed. And it went from, okay, first I just wanted to set myself apart to, okay, like, I like how this collection looks by itself. Like, let me get some more pairs. Let me add to it. So it started off as a way for me to become an individual, and it grew to let me get these collectibles to, okay, this kind of looks like art. So you see I have like a picture right above me right now. So I look at sneakers as a collectible, fashion, art. So just getting all those things in one pair, it made me want to grow the collection.
Nice. Kiara, I saw you react there when you started ratting off the spots. Is that where that started for you too, in terms of collecting passion?
Yeah, I think that, and it's so funny because I feel that all of us as sneaker enthusiasts have these conversations, right? Like, before the internet, what were your inspirations when it came to, where did you get your fashion sense from? It was, for us, it was, of course, yeah, well, for me specifically, where I grew up, it was the dope dealers, it was the drug dealers, it was, East Lamar, RIP to East Lamar. If you're from Charlotte, you already know what it is. Like, that's where fashion was. That was our TV, going to the mall every Saturday to not buy anything because we didn't have money, but we wanted to walk around and get a fit off. So I feel like it was a combination of TV, if you were able to have cable, it was okay, if I get these shoes this weekend, I got to put them on Monday. Now, I only got about 3 or 4 shirts in rotation, but my shoes are fresh. They're going to always be fresh. So I think that it's the allure of it. I think when you're younger and you want, but then as you get older and you mature, you're like, man, now I am actually in a place to has something that actually means something to me. You know, every sneaker has a story. And I think that it's so important, especially now, to make sure that you're remaining authentic to who you are through your collection. Don't worry about hype. Don't worry about anything that is outside of what it means to be true to who you are in your specific collection. Like, I can't tell you what to have in your collection because I don't know what it means to you. You know what I mean? So I think that that's just a way for all of us to remain authentic in our sneaker journeys.
For sure. Jenna, I saw you react to that because I feel like some names came through and kind of struck a chord with you.
So for me, yes, Eastland Mall was a big part of why I started collecting sneakers, but also I spent a lot of time with my cousin. He is a huge sneakerhead, and just seeing how he grew his collection, going with him to Eastland Mall, Carolina Place on Saturdays and picking up Jordans and being able to get every shoe that he wanted just really inspired me to be like, okay, now I want to build my collection now that I'm able to. Of course, I don't get everything like Kiera said that's hyped. I build around what I would wear. And that he was just my inspiration for that.
Oh, well, Dr. King, I feel like that's, it touches on a lot of things that you've studied more so than anything. Some of these stories kind of hit back to the core of how the game started. It's changed through the years. How do you react to that? How do you see that evolution happen?
Well, the evolution, that is at the core of the culture. There's still, there's still individuality in a game that's become saturated by marketing and, replication. The thing about wanting to express oneself in a style that this is me, let me stand out. We're losing a little of that. Well, we're losing that, a lot of that. But at the core of the culture, that's what it is. Like, hey, there was a time where subscribers within the culture wouldn't be caught dead wearing a shoe that somebody else had. I don't care what it was. If anything, you would just wait for the next colorway. I can remember, and I mentioned this and then tie this into it. Reebok Raptor High, right? Reebok Raptor High, made popular by players like Sam Cassell, Kenny Anderson, the Reebok endorsees of '96, the guards, right? The Reebok Raptor High was hot in the street, hot. And I remember a dude named Rodney, okay, my senior year of high school, didn't have a car at the time, so I was on the bus. SGA president on the bus, like literally having like a kingpin on the bus, right? Rodney in September started school with the Reebok Raptor High. The code of the street was, you don't go out and buy a shoe that somebody already has. I don't care what it was. You just didn't do it. So fast forward to February, the next February. And I remember going into Shoe Show, back when Shoe Show used to get Jordans, when he used to get everything, right? And there it was, Reebok Raptor High, $46. And I'm thinking like, nah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and cop these. This is $46. These joints are on sale. Man, I put those bad boys on, got fresh, went to school, had to speak in front of the school the next day. So I'm like, okay, I'm fresh with it. Man, you should have saw cats looking at me. It was almost like I lied on camera or something, or like lied on tape. It was like, yo, I can't believe you would stoop to this. And that goes back to like literally, like cats are looking at me like, yo, you're not the man I thought you were, right? Imagine that today. You go into a ball before COVID, you go into a gym in a basketball game to see 38 people on one row wearing Concords, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that individuality has always been a part of the culture, even though it's not a current precept in what we call authentic subscription, or should I say subscription?
Right. But that's an interesting point. I think, you're a strong advocate of how, you can use online communities overall have done a great job of bridging the gap, but also created a bit of a uniform mentality. How do you challenge what you usually call the one size fits all model? Like, how do you challenge that? How do you see it evolve? And how do you really kind of, encourage others to not fit in? What's the solution there?
The solution will forever be to be true to oneself, to thy own self, be true like Shakespeare, right? To literally, if individuals do that, you can't help but stand out because you'll be different from everyone else. There are people who are naturally different no matter what the situation. Then there are people who try to be different, right? But if individuals stay true to their interests, they will have people attempting to replicate the things that they're doing. And again, not knocking anyone's taste for any shoe, but specifically, we all know someone. When we make comments like, "Oh, you pull those off," it's almost like the left compliment. I wouldn't wear those, but you look good, right? What happens is when you continue to pull those off, there's somebody else looking at you on Tumblr or Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media they're using, right, to get style inspo. You're gonna come up. They're like, look at that guy in this, or look at that young lady in that, or the girl in that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, down to the color of her hat, down to the color of her bag, and the socks she has on with this. I'm going to replicate that. And then, we started anew.
Yeah, I'm interested in that point of view across the board. Jenna, I'll start with you because you're a big advocate of authenticity and like staying true to yourself. Like, what are the principles that you follow in terms of like aligning your style, your sneakers, and how you go about it?
I try not to let social media influence me to buy things, because that's what social media is for you to, they make you want to buy things, but I don't buy anything unless I feel like I really want it. I don't care about what people think about an outfit. I do what I love to do. Like, I don't do it for likes or comments. I always want to be comfortable, and I just like remain true to myself. Like, I do what I feel is right.
Jerry, what's your approach? I think you're a bit more of a mysterious figure as how you approach the world, but your taste is very celebrated across the community. What's your approach? How do you approach it?
My approach is pretty similar. I like to keep my sneaker community relatively small. I engage on Clubhouse, chats every once in a while, but in terms of getting people's opinions and talking about shoes that I like, I keep it small. That way, like Jenna was saying, I make sure that the shoes I buy, I get them because I like them. I used to be heavy on the blogs, especially when I
Oh, so we lost Jerry there a little bit. All right, we'll come back to Jerry real quick. I'm gonna hop to Kiara because you're a tastemaker. I'm gonna call you a tastemaker. Just out the gate. Don't shake your head. No, you're a tastemaker out here. You're setting a trend. Jenna's nodding really strongly there. How do you not only set the pace but also like try to retain who you are? It's probably it's an ongoing commitment from your side. How does that look in your world?
It is. I definitely echo Jenna and Jerry. I stay true to who I am. I'm not gonna buy something that I know doesn't fit in my personal style if it already doesn't fit in the closet that I already have. I think, especially around when you think about content creation in general, social media will make you almost feel like you have to buy stuff. And I just did not want to get into that. I did not want to get into, well, every time I, shoot, I need to go buy this or I need to do that. I have more than enough clothes in here, like more than enough to get what I need to get across. So I feel that for me, number one is I need to hold on to my money, because if I'm going to continue to buy shoes, you got to pick a struggle. You're going to focus on shoes, or you're going to focus on clothes, or, a little bit of both. So I think for me, I wear what feels good to me. I also wear, again, I do go for comfort, but I also like to mesh both of my personal styles. Like, I love being chic, but I also love being comfortable. And I think that the journey of just adulthood in general, when I grew up, I was a tomboy, right? You transition, you try and find yourself, you try and find your personal style. Went to college, you develop a little more of your personal style. And then going from college to 9 to 5, I was like, I can't wear sneakers. So now I have to put on this 9 to 5 corporate hat. And I think that over the years, I was like, okay, this is cool, but this is not really me. Like, this is something that I enjoy, but my feet hurt. I'm tired of walking around here. Like, I really found that I struggled with my personal style and my identity because I could not express myself with my clothes and who I was at, when I first got into corporate America. So fast forward, as I get older, it's like, nah, like what you see is what you get with me. And I knew that whenever it came to creating a platform, if I'm gonna create a platform for everybody to see my life or see a part of what I choose to share, like I have to keep it 100%. Like I have to be true to who I am. Because how can I encourage other people to be true and I'm not staying true to myself as a brand?
That's very true, and I think you're getting a lot of echoes in the chat over there. I don't know if you're seeing it, but I think an important thing that everybody kind of brought up is definitely the concept of authenticity. But one thing I do want to put to the crowd here, which is important to kind of talk about, is obviously a lot of our culture is what builds sneaker culture, and so in you being authentic by virtue is what sets the trend and what creates that uniform that others want to build into. Jenna, I'm gonna lean on you real quick, and I will hope to get an answer from everyone across the board. As you've seen the sneaker game change, obviously we always talk about representation in the game. Being seen where you want to consume. What are some of these key issues that you're seeing with not having enough representation in the sneaker industry, and kind of how does that affect how you're looking at silhouettes, how you consume too as well? Because it's a big issue on our side, and it's making me, I mean, personally from my side, reassess a lot. But I'd love to hear across the board, starting with you, because I know that's something you're very passionate about, Jenna.
So for me, it's like, who's in the room? Who's in the design rooms? Why does every women's release have to be pink? We like other colors. Why is it always a pink colorway? The models who are modeling the sneakers, where are the women of color? The influencers that get the sneakers, why is it always a white influencer when there are Black influencers? Like, Black women are pushing the culture, but we are not getting the representation that I feel we deserve. And that's a really big issue for me.
Sure, and I think it's sense across the board. I see we got Jerry back. Real quick, Jerry, I'm a posit this question to you too as well, because you are 10 years in and you're seeing a lot of the inspiration go into the latest silhouette. How do you find that some of the silhouettes have changed? It kind of been so fueled by your style, your community, and how you've seen it grow. Any changes that you've seen across the industry that really show more inclusion?
Not too much, honestly. I too question who exactly is in the design rooms for a lot of these releases. My personal favorite Jordan silhouette is the Jordan 1, and it seems as though they kind of fall back on the OGs, and they do a lot of stuff that's not too classic with it. So it doesn't seem as though they're necessarily, or sneaker brands in general, are necessarily consulting with the culture that built the industry. It seems as though we built it to where it is, and they're kind of taking it to some other direction. And that's kind of taken me to a place where I stick to more classic colorways, because I don't see a lot of positive creativity. Like, they're trying to be creative, but it's not necessarily something that I can, necessarily relate to. So that's kind of where I see it changing from when I started 10 years ago to now.
Gotcha. Key, I saw you jump in your chair over there. I know it's something that's really gone to heart there. There's a lot to contribute and add. What's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, Jenna hit the nail on the head. Where are the Black women? Where are they? Where are the Black women in the decision making rooms? Where are we when it comes to ideation? Where are we when it comes to design? Where are we? And this is not to discredit any of the collaborations that we've seen, right? Because granted, it started with Vashti too, right? Like, that was a Laylee May, Melody Asani. Like, I'm not here to discredit any of the women, the Black and brown women that have had the opportunity to collab with these brands and work on something, specifically designed for women, but it can't just stop there. We can't just check off a box and say, okay, that's enough for D&I. That should be enough to hold y'all off for now. Like, we need a consistent seat at the table. to make sure that our voices are not only heard, but incorporated. When you also think about inclusive sizing, there are women that everybody doesn't, if certain shoes start at eight men's, what, you know, you just, there are so many women that are cut off from that, just off of sizing. So there are a lot of issues when it comes to that. When you think about, and Jenna said it too, the influencers. I'm not saying that influencers cannot be sneaker collectors or sneaker enthusiasts, but what I'm saying is, where are your sneaker enthusiasts that are actually, where are they? Because I don't see them. Influencers that could care less about the shoe. They get a free shoe. They get to take a pic, snap it up, and then that's it. But where are the Black women? Where are the creators that really care about the culture, that really want to help continue to drive the culture forward? Where are we? There something is missing. It's a lot of stuff that's missing, but that's a whole rant, but I'm gonna be quiet. But that's my piece on it.
Oh, you don't have to, because I'm about to turn to Dr. King, and he's just nodding because you're the historian here. You studied this industry back and forth. You're in the trenches of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, because you've seen it go through so many different stages, from the early 90s of the culture move into now energy, and how it's built up, code words for how we go about looking at product. What's your overall thoughts here?
Man, that was everything she just said was textbook, legitimately. And let me start there and then backtrack it. So when we think about social media now, right? So like modern social media, if following is currency, okay, is leverage. When individuals, let's just keep it real, keep it a buck, right? Individuals may procure a following in any kind of way. It could be jumping off a picnic table, it could be eating live bugs. But once you get that following, it's like, hey, I got a following. Hey guys, it's me, Corey. Welcome to Corey's World, right? And then you go and like, hey, representative from this particular brand, I got 128,000 followers. Clearly, I have an influence. So because sneakers has become popular culture, you will find, and this is not a knock, but it's the truth. Like, where's the lie? There are influencers who couldn't tell you Air Force 2 from Air Force 1 to plane, okay? And they'll like, hey, wear this shirt with this shoe because I'm wearing it. And then people are like, I like that. You look good. You're cute. You're stylish. You're fly. And then, to pass it off as being, like me putting on an apron and calling myself a chef, okay? Because I'm bigger doesn't mean I'm cooking. So my point is, even though I can, but my point is, yeah, influencers have become, they're doing it for the gram, right? Across all boards. And they're two shoes, right? They're two shoes that literally are as black. I don't care what colorway they are. They're black because they're worn by Black people, okay? Any shoe with a posit technology and an Air Force One. The Air Force One is about as African-American as you can get. There are rules unwritten on how to wear Air Force Ones, okay? Especially all white ones or Black ones, right? I once asked my students, hey, if I came to class wearing a pair of Black Air Force Ones, what would you assume? Someone said you'll steal, that you got bad credit. Like, there are all these negative stereotypes, right? They come with that. What we're seeing is like, now we're seeing people who aren't Aframs, and I'm not knocking people of different races. That's not what I'm talking about. But that particular shoe is now turned into the Katy Perry shoe, or the whatever starlet is wearing that, right? So the marketing companies have always depended on influence of people who wear the sneakers to get sales. The difference is that we have social media, and now people are calling themselves influencers with zero knowledge about the culture. Zero. If you were to test them or just ask them a question, they're going to smile at you and be like, But that trickles down to people getting into boardrooms and getting into spaces where the only thing that matters is that someone will listen to you because you have this many followers, or someone can see it as a free advertising.
Yeah, but at the core of that, Doctor, I'm actually gonna push the button on that a little bit more. We lose sight of the stories sometimes, product stories, the the value of that of footwear. Like you said, the Air Force One is as important, you know, foam technology, to the point, you know, we had a conversation about what that means where I'm from. How do we get to tell these stories now? Where do we go from here? How do we reclaim some of these stories? Because I think that's a very important part, because it's such a mass play. What do you see is happening in the industry for people trying to reclaim those narratives? Is there anything that's interesting around the industry that you see?
Things like what's happening tonight, a platform like this, where you have taken individuals from different areas, at different stages, but all share a passion and a specific knowledge or a desire burning that internal fire. As long as they are platforms of this magnitude and authentic subscription to sneaker culture, and authentic subscription and knows no creed, color, or race. Again, that authentic subscription, when you have platforms like this and reach out to individuals who actually know what they're doing and know why they're doing it and will continue to do it even if it became unpopular, this will eventually take precedent in over what I literally describe in my research as inauthentic subscription. And again, there's authentic subscription the same way there's authentic sneaker culture literature. There is inauthentic sneaker culture literature, and authentic subscription within, and inauthentic subscription within. So as long as there are platforms like this in an attempt to reach out to individuals who have their fingers on the pulse of the game, or the pulse of the culture, then eventually there's a slow burn. It's almost like in Star Wars, right? Like the Republic, how do we take this thing back over? Eventually it will take precedent and become the dominant story again.
I guess that's interesting because it's led by people too in the industry too, right? That are actually trying to trailblaze and make a difference. I'm gonna start with Jenna and just ask this question real quick. Is there anyone in the industry that you look to that's actually making the change that you enjoy or want to see, or anyone that really kind of inspires you in the sneaker industry that you?
I would have to say Vashti, even though she's not like in the sneaker industry. I know she did her collaboration with Jordan, but I think she was the first female to collab with Jordan and have a sneaker. So I think she really opened the door, but I haven't really seen anybody like continue it. Like there is Alayli and there's Melody, but after them, who's next? I know there was Olivia Kim, but there should be more.
Right, for sure. Jerry, I see you got a painting up there with a similar version of off-white Chicago ones and some turquoise colorway. Who was in the industry that really shaped? I'm gonna guess Virgil, but perhaps someone else.
Not so much Virgil. I would actually say Kanye West was probably the last person who was in the sneaker industry that really, inspired me. And that's because he came out with original designs. Like it had been so long before the Yeezys dropped that I personally saw original designs that really spoke to me and that I could get interested in. I feel like a lot of what's going on in that industry is a lot of retros being remodeled, new colorways coming out. So to see Kanye West with the Yeezy line come through and create new silhouettes of shoes that were comfortable, good in performance, and fashionable, that was something that really inspired me at that time.
So, Kiara, who is it for you? I heard there's a name that I heard, but I don't know if you're gonna say that one.
No, I mean, I think I have a few, honestly. I think, especially when it comes from a Black woman, Jazzaray, Nerd Like Jazzy, is her handle on Instagram. She had a collab with Reebok in 2019. And for her, just to see how she's been able to infiltrate the sneaker industry over time, it is just amazing. It's a huge testament to her work. And I feel that, yeah, she definitely had a collab with Reebok, but she just has so many other avenues. She has a True to Size agency where she's amplifying the voice of Black and brown women, to break the mold of making sure that women are included in these conversations and that they're at the right table. So for her, she's definitely an inspiration to me because yes, we all love sneakers. We all bond over the sneaker culture, but it's so much more than that. It's about what influence is one thing, right? But are you impactful with your influence? Are you, is it diligent? You know what I mean? Is it thought out? Is it carefully planned? So Jazzaray is one definitely for me when I think about Black designers in general that come to mind. Of course, Joe Freshgoods, Frank Cook. I mean, there are so many. They are, and Joe Fresh, his story is just insane when I think about how he's been able to have the, you know, do the work on his own brand, but then collab with these brands. So I think there, within the culture, there are some impactful people. Would I like to see more Black women? I mean, regardless, I'm gonna root for everybody Black. I'm Black. I'm a Black woman at the end of the day. Before I'm anything else, I'm Black. So I want to see everybody Black win. I want to see everybody Black be able to get the credit and the recognition that they deserve. It's more than the accolades or, you know, the like on Instagram or, you know, a clap, a little emoji. It's really about respecting the gift that people have. You know, the sneaker, when you think about sneaker culture, when you are creating content of any kind, this is a full-time job. This is a 24/7 thing. Like, even after we get off of this, it doesn't shut off. Like, it does not shut off. My brain is always thinking about how I can create, what I can do, how I can do it better. How can I make sure that my brand is is separated from what is existing? So it is never okay, this is the off switch. Like, I'm closing my laptop for today. It's more commitment than my 9 to 5, to keep it a buck. I mean, because it's a part of my lifestyle. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but yeah, I'm definitely always inspired by Black designers in general.
That's an important one to hear. Dr. King, who to, obviously there's some people that are foundational in the industry and some others that are there. I'm sure you have a point of view across the board. Who are some of these figures you're seeing right now that excite you in the industry?
Well, forever, and I got to start with the Jordan of our industry. Always the apex. He's the unicorn in the world of Transformers, Bobbito Garcia. Anything he's ever produced, any sneaker collab he's ever had has been currency. This guy is he's the Jordan of sneaker. He's the creator of what we do. I was really excited not that long ago for Martine Rose, that Monarch 4, and I loathe the Monarch, loathe it. I think it's deplorable. But when I saw what she did with that, oh my God. And I was lucky enough to have virtually all of them, right? Always mention, shout out Dustin Canlin. Dustin Canlin is the intersection of fashion, hip hop, and sneaker culture. He literally, if you want to throw, he would be the quintessential. We want to get the elements of all this, he would be the quintessential, right? And of course, a lot of individuals may not know him. There's a gentleman, Mikey Likes It. Mikey Likes It is known in the Northeastern region for his ice cream, right? I promise you, go and get whatever kick you find, whatever you think is the most expensive kick you got, the most valuable, and compare the materials in that kick to his Mikey Likes It comparison with Ewing Athletic. You can hear the cow moo in the box. That suede is 1972 grade suede. That's one of the greatest sneakers I own. And I can smell, when I walk into my house, I can smell it, right? You can smell the suede in a box buried under like 300 other pairs of gear. So these are individuals who have taken their passion for sneaker culture and had an opportunity, a platform to create. And when that happens, I always got my radar open, just hoping that they might get an opportunity to do it again.
So, well, that interesting enough, that was an easy transition into the next question I had, because you mentioned you're known for that silhouette, and I'm gonna go across the board to everyone to kind of hear what their favorite silhouettes are. But I got a kicker for that. I'm gonna ask you your favorite silhouette, which you basically just teased out right now, and also the top grail that you have to go and get, that you don't have to, you got to go get out.
Man, okay, that I don't have to go and get that still, because I want everything that I want, I have. The key word there is want, right? Of course, the kick for me, I think I've done more for the Ewing Athletic, for the 33 high that Ewing has, right? And I say that jokingly, but the Ewing Athletic 33 high is synonymous with my name.
And why is that? I think for context for everyone here, why the it seems like to some it may be like an out the box choice. Why the Ewing Athletic 33 high?
Okay, so even though like right now, 2021, individuals may not think this way first. Basketball is like sneaker culture comes from basketball sneakers. Okay, and the influence of what made sneaker culture hot is hip hop. So when retro, the stuff that we covet now is from the 90s when I was a kid, right? Like I was in high school during this particular time, in middle school at the beginning of the 90s. That shoe is 1,000,000% hip hop. Okay, 1,000,000%. The hottest MCs of that period had that shoe on. Go back and check the resume, check the script, check the tape. Whatever hot song, you go back and like, what was the hottest song in 1991? What was the hottest song in 93? What was the hottest song in 94? They got a video wearing Ewings. And you saw what the Knicks were doing. If it wasn't for a guy named Michael Jordan, they would probably have at least 2 rings. But the point is that shoe is sneaker culture personified. It is hip hop culture personified. I'm partial to high tops. You won't rip your Achilles in a pair of high tops over, a pair of lows on a basketball court. Check that too. But yeah, because of it's synonymous with the things I hold dear. Sneaker culture, basketball, hip hop culture, and the literature that corresponds with it. So pretty much you ever heard the expression, if such and such were blah, blah, blah. If Jermaine King was a shoe, it would be that because it embodies all the things I hold dear. To the second part of your question, that I don't have, a grail that I don't have. So if I'm playing Indiana Jones, what would be my grail? It would, let's say, and it wouldn't be OG anything because I don't want anything that I can't wear, right? Like something that's going to fall apart. I got shoes that if they were putting you to look at them, but I want to be able to wear them. It would have to be, this is going to be ill to some people because people might not know what it is. The Air Force Max from 2019 and the multicolored one. Like Anthony Davis wore those for a while before he started wearing Kobe's and getting hurt. But the Air Force Max, the black one with the funky colorway, like that shoe, I could have got that back then. And for some reason, I don't know why I didn't. And I'm like, I look at that shoe like, yo, I love it. It's just, it's a take on the Air Force Max from back in the 90s that Barkley wore. Synonymous with Charles Barkley in 93. Go back and watch the finals in 1993. That's the shoe that is. There's an update to that. But I would say that. I don't have that. And the size will pop up eventually, but I don't have it and I want that.
Dope. Jenna, I'm gonna hit with you here. You obviously talked about the red toe AIs. Are those your favorite shoe of all time? And what are the grails that perhaps you don't have?
I think that definitely would be one of my favorite shoes of all time because that was Allen Iverson's first shoe. And like I said, I'm a big Allen Iverson fan. And that silhouette is just like, it's classic. And there's been retros of it. There's like been different colorways that they've done, but the red toe is just a classic colorway that'll never get old. And my grail would have to be the Chicago ones, the ones that Virgil did. I just feel like that's a really unique shoe. It's a shoe that I wouldn't wear. I would just put it up just to have. And yeah, I think that would be it.
So 2, dope. Yeah, those off-white ones are crazy. So they're definitely crazy. Jerry, top shoe of all time and grail.
My favorite shoe, or at least my favorite silhouette of all time, that'd be the Air Jordan 1 silhouette. It's just so clean and so classic. It's versatile too. You can wear it with dress up. Like I work in an office setting, I could go to work in my Air Jordan 1s and I wouldn't feel out of place or like I'm too casual. Wear them with some shorts, put on some jeans. So the versatility of the silhouette and the classic nature of it. It's not the most comfortable, but it's very stylish. So that's probably my favorite silhouette. And my grail would be the LeBron Palmer 9s. It was a low player exclusive that LeBron James had. I remember it because it was when I first started to get into the sneaker game. I saw it on a blog and I was like, man, I can't wait for that shoe to come out. It's going to come out one day. I didn't know about, samples and player exclusives at the time. So I had hope. And I think I went on one of the resale apps and they're on there. So one day they'll be mine.
Set the notification up, man. Set the notification up.
Somebody will pick up my bid one of these days.
Okay. What are the two?
So, favorite shoe of all time. I told you my list, it changes every day. But silhouette, I'm gonna just stick with the silhouette. Silhouette, my favorite silhouette, it always bounces for me between 1, 6s, and 11s. I wish I could pick, but that's about as best as I can narrow it down. But those are my 3 favorite silhouettes. And then one of my grails is the Carolina 17 lows. So that was actually the first pair of Jordans that I ever got. My grandpa bought me those. I begged, because I remember this was 2002, and earlier that year they came out with the 17s. I think it was University Blue, and they came with the suitcase. You got the suitcase, the CD, and shout out to the retro cars if y'all remember when they had wasn't no internet, right? So that was how you learn the history behind the shoe. But that shoe will forever hold a special place for me. That I need to get it. Not even to wear it, but I definitely need to have it in my collection.
That case for the 17s was crazy.
I mean, it was $200 was like $1,000 back then. That was a lot of money. And again, my mama was like, girl, if it ain't got no sale tag, don't even walk over there, because we're not even going in that section. Because she would always say, Michael Jordan making his money, I got to keep mine. I can't spend all my money. I can't do that. So, but yeah, that suitcase back then, man, that just hit different. It made you feel like exclusive almost. If you got your hands on that suitcase, it was over. Now I didn't, but I did get the 17 lows. So, I gotta get that. I gotta add that to my collection.
That's a really dope that's a really dope pick. And you don't think often of the 17 lows coming up, but that's definitely one of those. Got some interesting 17 stories, but we can share these for the offline. It's that case made you dream, that case made you dream. It hit different. It hit different. I have one last question before we kind of open up to questions across the board. So if you have any questions, please jump in the chat. Let Tara and any of us be able to jump on and ask the questions that you have, or share any stories that you want to share too as well. We have some time all the way to 8:30. But my last question is it's a bit of a flyer, but you might think about it. I'll start with you, Kiara. What's the craziest thing you did to be able to get a pair of sneakers? Like craziest story to like.
Oh, I got plenty of those. Yeah. Man. So again, my mama was like, if I take you to the mall, I'm not coming to pick you up, because we used to camp. We used to camp out for shoes. This was when you had to wait in line and you had to just pay the $20, with your little plug at the shoe store, so you could make sure that they secured your pair. But one of the craziest stories, I definitely camped out. I remember me and my homegirl at the time, we stayed in the mall kind of overnight. We snuck by mall security. This was Eastland Mall. So we snuck through the back door of mall security. I don't know how in the world we got back there, and we stayed in the bathroom until I don't know what time it was, so that way we could have direct access whenever Foot Locker opened the gate. So yeah, we were in the bathroom for some hours. I don't even know how long that was, but we got the shoes. So that was the most important thing, because we knew on Monday again we was gonna go to school. We was gonna flex, and we had a story. That's what I miss about sneakers. I miss sneakers having a story. We ain't even gonna get into the sneakers app, because me and the sneakers app, we always got beef. But I miss those camp out days, those sneaking through any kind of backdoor days to get your hand on some sneakers.
That's what's up. Jerry, I'll start with you. You got 10 years deep of probably crazy stories and evolution of the sneakers app. What's the craziest thing you did to get a pair of sneakers?
The craziest thing I did to get a pair of sneakers, it was after I had a summer where I was away. It was my first like real job or whatever. Made a little bit of change, and once I touched down in Charlotte, I could not wait to just blow a check. So found somebody on Craigslist that said they had the '01 Space Jams, and I'm like, all right, definitely got to add these to my collection. I had no idea who this person was. They weren't affiliated with the store. I was like, I'm gonna take a chance on it. So I met up with them. I got the Space Jams, and I think I had gotten them in about 2013. So this is about a 12-year-old shoe right here. So me being excited, I put them in the rotation, and I think they lasted me about 2 years. But just meeting up with somebody random that I found off of Craigslist to get a pair of '01 Space Jams was probably the craziest thing I'd ever done for a pair of shoes. It wasn't a real public place either. I probably wouldn't do it today, but that's probably the craziest thing I did.
Oh, glad you're all right. Glad you still got those Space Jams?
My dad has them. He uses them to cut grass. Like the soles gave out on me.
Oh,
So
man.
I tried to glue them a couple times, but it just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. So
My heart just dropped. Jenna, what's that story for us?
Mine would have to be 2011. Me and my best friend camped out for the Concords. And when they opened the mall, everybody was like bum rushing everybody. And we pretty much got trampled. But I got the sneakers. So it was worth it.
Those campouts were wild. Campouts were so crazy. Dr. King, what's that story for you?
Okay. So I'm going to give you, this is an exclusive. I've never told anyone this. Like it may be, my mom might not even know this. Okay.
No, this is recorded, Dr. King. This is recorded. I don't.
Yeah. And okay. No, but this is the craziest thing. I'm purposely going to leave the shoe, the specific name of the shoe out, but I'm going to give you a story and I'll give you a hint because you might be able to figure it out. Okay. So I'm going to make this as short as possible. I purchased a 1973 Chevelle. It ran. Okay. It was like you could drive it. A 1973 Chevelle. I bought it as a gift to myself. I had interviewed for this job and got the job, right? And I bought, like, as a celebration, I'm like, boom, I'm buying this Chevelle. And then the next day they told me I couldn't start the job because they had some accrediting issue. And pretty much I went and splurged on a car that I didn't have a job for, straight out of like something straight off a sitcom, right? So what I had planned to do, even though the car was drivable, and my dream car at the time was a 72 Chevelle, so it was getting close to it, right? I was like, okay, I'm going, this thing works. I'm going to update the engine because the lifters, you can hear the lifters in there. I'm gonna just go ahead and restore this. The dumbest thing ever. You don't buy a car to restore, you buy one restored, right? Like, unless you can actually do the work. So this is where the kicks come in. There was a gentleman who was keeping the car for me because I didn't want to have it at my house because I just didn't want to have it at my house. And he wanted me to pay him for the time the car, like almost like a storage fee. And that wasn't the original thing. So I asked him, like, what do you want? Right. And he told me, and I gave it to him, and I'm a little tight because I'm like, man, you should have said that, right? I walked into a particular store and saw a shoe that should not have been sitting there. There's no reason that shoe should not have been sold out. And they had like pretty much a full size run. Now, I'm not gonna say what the shoe is, but I will tell you this. The midsole does crack and is not the Air Jordan Revolution. If you don't know what Air Jordan Revolution, just Google that and it'll tell you what that shoe is called now. So I saw that they had that shoe. I'm like, oh, I think I'll buy that for nostalgia's sake, but I didn't want to spend my money. So I thought, like, you know what? I'm not going to restore this car. I'm going to crush it. So I crushed the car to get the money, and I took part of that money and went and bought the shoes. The dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. About a month or two after that, I was in a barbershop getting this done. Of course, not this. And there was a barber in there who was like, man, I wish I had a 73 Chevelle. And I'm like, I had one that ran, right? And he threw out this number. He's like, I'll give it to you now. Where is it? So that's the craziest thing I ever did for a pair. Indirectly, and I crushed a running 1973 Chevelle because I was through with it. I was washing Nothing wrong with it. It was just a little, need a little touching up. I crushed the car because I didn't want the car anymore. And I saw the shoes. And I'm going to take some of that money and buy those shoes. The dumbest thing I ever did. Probably the dumbest thing I ever did in my life, period.
Wow.
Yeah. If somebody can top that, please do. Because I'm like, I don't want to have the championship belt for that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll look across the board to our other panelists. I don't know if there's anything you have, any punches you held up that beats that, but you just took the cake. You just took the cake on that one. I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, thank you for the exclusive. It's recorded, so this goes to posterity too as well. So receipts, Dr. King, receipts. Thank you all for sharing so much. I'm going to open the floor to some questions, or anyone who wants to be able to hop on and share an equally crazy story or anything that's worthwhile of note. Tara, I'm going to need your assistance, kind of go through and go around, see if we have any questions from the audience.
We don't have anything in the chat, but feel free to put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. There should be a raise hand option on Zoom, right?
Have the raise your hand feature that will help too as well. If you look right next to your name in there, you'll be able to do that. If you don't drop any question in the chat too, you can do that too.
Is everybody just feeling shy tonight? What's going on?
I mean, they just heard the Chevelle story, and no one can top that. So everybody's hopping in. Posts. Oh, we got a couple questions. Post-COVID sneaker world. What does the world look like post-COVID? That's a pretty interesting question. I like to put that across the board. Who would like to tackle that one first? I have a point of view, but this is ideally for all of you there. What does the sneaker world look like post-COVID? Because a lot has come to light. I think more so to some of your points in terms of the marketing elements, and a lot of overzealous energy that was used on activation and so forth perhaps has changed. The pendulum has changed. How do you see the post-COVID world change for the sneaker industry? I'm going to put someone on the spot. I'm going to start with you, Jenna, real quick.
I'm pretty sure since COVID has been keeping everybody in the house, we've just been buying things. And I know that a lot of people like myself are waiting to wear their new stuff. So someone who you may have seen that's not into sneakers, you might see them post-COVID and they're into sneakers, which is cool because we've all had time to sit at home and realize, okay, like this is cool. This is what I want to do. I might buy these sneakers. I might wear them. So I think COVID has introduced a lot of people to sneakers, and post-COVID, we're going to see a lot more people into sneakers.
So, Jerry, any thoughts? Post-COVID sneaker world?
So I think one thing that COVID has done is it's made people find a way to make a living, make some money at home, whether it's Bitcoin, like we see a lot of people investing. And I think we've seen that in sneaker culture as well, since everybody's at home, everyone's going to be home Saturday at 10 o'clock, see what's on the sneakers app or whatever. So I think post-COVID, we might see it go back to pre-COVID in terms of accessibility for true sneakerheads to get shoes, because you're not going to have people who are just trying to get shoes to resell them or just trying to get shoes because they have a lot of idle time. So that's kind of how I imagine the post-COVID world, because you go on the sneakers app sometimes just to see what it's like, okay, this shoe isn't exactly hyped. It's just a generic colorway on a retro shoe and it's selling out in 10 seconds. Like, that's not how it should be. So I think after COVID, we're going to see the market kind of regulate itself. At least that's how I see it.
Kiara, what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's always interesting because I think that, with everybody being in the house, like Jenna said, you are inclined to spend more money. But I also think that from a consumer perspective, I don't see it slowing down. I don't see resellers making any less money, unfortunately, just because when everybody is outside and when everybody could get a fit off, every weekend, I think that that's going to continue to drive some of the buying power for certain shoes. Like now everybody's inside, however you get your content off, videos, Instagram, YouTube, whatever your social media outlet is one thing, but now being able to see people out and about and be able to have that level of interaction again, I think that might bring an interesting concept to what that looks like going forward. I think that it might bring I don't know, will it change the hype culture? I don't think it'll change that, but I think that it might make people more inclined to actually have an opinion on, okay, yeah, I do like this shoe. I didn't like it in the house, but now I can see it with a fit. Like, this is something that I might want to add to my collection. So I think that it'll be very interesting to see what it looks like post-COVID.
Dr. King, any thoughts?
So one of the things that we'll see post-COVID, and you can see it now, shoes that would not traditionally end up at big box discount stores or the outlet are going to the outlet, because everything is like an artery, right? That's been clogged. There's none of the blood flow, the fluid is not flowing through that artery as much as it used to. So what's happened is that there's a backlog, and you're going to see some things change with production as far as like how many that's going to, it's got to at some point. And you're going to see shoes that would not have gone to big box discount stores or to the outlet before or so fast, go there a little quicker for a while because things have been slowed down. So of course, taste change. If I were to predict something, it would be a shoe that probably, I think within the next, I say 4 years, because I know Nike's pushing for it. They want the same success for the Dunk for the Blazer. So eventually that's going to pop. It may not be today, and that may not be tomorrow, but you're going to see the Nike Blazer reach what the Dunk has reached today. And again, like 18 months ago, nobody cared. But now you're seeing GRs go for $300 and $400 on like aftermarket. So I predict that within the next 5 years, the Blazer is going to start to achieve. Nike does what Nike does, and they reach out to people with all the influence, right? Start seeing the Blazer appear on Instagram and certain blogs and pages, or maybe Travis Scott will start rocking it. There you go. There's a recipe. So yeah, I predict, in this document, I predict that the Blazer is going to do what the Dunk is doing now, because Nike's already planning for that to happen.
That's interesting. It's all cyclical, right? It's all cyclical. You see it put out in the marketplace, and you get that feeling and sentiment. Gonna work our way down the questions there. Underrated shoes. Any underrated shoes you can think of? What are the most underrated shoes in the world? I'll chime in on one real quick. I think I'm a retired guard, and I feel like the Ultra Flight, anything from the Alpha Project from Nike, really got swept under the rug really quickly through the years and deserved better. And the Ultra Flight is probably one of the greatest guard shoes made. So close to the ground, was stable. To Dr. King's point, it was a bit of a mitt. It protected your Achilles. There's a lot there. But some of the underrated shoes that you can think of, that you can think about. We'll start with you, Key, and work our way around to the right of my screen here.
Oh man, I think the 2 silhouette. I don't know where all this Jordan 2 hate is coming from. Not really clear on that. And I see, of course, again, this is because of influencers and different things like that. It's like, oh, well, we don't wear anything over the 14. Says who? Says who? Like, because back in the day, we wore what came out. If you could get your hands on it, if your people gave you the money to get some shoes, or I know before I actually started working, when I was 15, I was babysitting. I was making flyers on Microsoft Word with word art so I could get money to put toward getting shoes. So yeah, I think 16s, I would just love to see Jordan Brand do something a little different. Granted, I know that right now where the culture is going, they're focused on ones, they're focused on sixes. They're focused on fire. Like they have dunks. You know, they have their things that they're focused on just because of the market. But yeah, I would love to see. Those are definitely underrated. Those are the first ones that came to my mind.
So I'll walk my way to around the screen on my side here. Jenna, any most underrated shoe?
So I don't know if y'all remember these, but Nike Shox. I feel like those are the most comfortable sneakers, but everybody sleeps on them. Like those are good running shoes. They're good throw on shoes. Like I love the Nike Shox.
So, Jerry, most underrated shoe.
Everybody likes foams, rightfully so. They went out of style a little bit, but my most underrated shoe is probably the Air Penny 5s. Like that was my favorite from Penny Hardaway's collection. I had a pair of the black Orlandos. It was a really fresh shoe. Like I kind of like that more than I like my Royal Ones. So I'd probably go with the Air Penny 5s. No one really talks about those anymore.
That's dope. Dr. King?
So yeah, so Nike has attempted, almost like Maurice Starr, the way Maurice Starr has attempted to recreate New Edition all these times. Nike has attempted to recreate the Air Force One 2 specific times. One time in 1998 and again in 2007, right? Now, of course, we know we can go up to the Air Force 5, but they literally have tried to recreate the Air Force One twice. One time in 98, one time in 2007. 1998, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, go and look this up. In 1998, they dropped the Air Force Light. And my God, that shoe, I remember Chris Mullen wore it on court and a bunch of other players. If you wore Nikes at the time, you probably had it on. The Air Force Light, I've been waiting, hoping, wishing, and praying that they would bring it back. If you're a baller, that shoe was it. If you wanted to rock kicks, just rock it with fashion, that shoe was it. The lows or the high, specifically the lows. The Air Force Light was ill for the time period. Like, and now it would probably, I don't know if we would classify it as performance, even though performance-wise it would still work. But that shoe back then, if you had a pair of Air Force Lights on, heads knew that 2 things were going to happen. You were going to take somebody to the hole, or you was about to flex on somebody because that joint was hard with jeans at the time, especially the low. So the Air Force Light is definitely a slept-on shoe. A lot of purists know about it, or if they bought it and just rocked it for fashion. That shoe was slept on. And I remember the pair I had, because I was a broke college student at the time, the pair I got from my job at the time, they'll give me the free promo at the time. I used my discount on it to get an all-white pair. And I remember, man, this thing was, for 98, 99 season, that thing was it. So yeah, that slept on, and that thing was comfortable. They tried to recreate the magic of the Air Force One. You just can't do that. You can't catch lightning in a bottle twice.
Oh. I'm kind of hovering through some of the questions here, and there's actually there's some really topical questions, particularly one that's actually topic number one, because there's a lot of recent drops have touched on that recently. But any thoughts on sustainability in the sneaker industry and sneaker culture, that renewal on thoughts about renewable materials and some of these more targeted to serve the earth sort of drops? Any thoughts on that from anyone across? Could start with you, Dr. King, because your mic is on. Any thoughts on sustainability in the industry, and we'll work around the panel.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone. Okay, companies end up, they pad their bottom line, right? Because it's, the recyclable material. Adidas is taking stuff out of the ocean. They're taking ocean trash and making soccer jerseys, soccer kits, and sneakers. Nike's doing things like that, and other companies too. It's a win-win. It's better for the environment. For companies, clearly it costs less, and it also somehow, some way adds to creativity when it comes to making shoes. So ultimately, that part will go back to the consumer. But as far as using these materials, is going to make, hopefully they'll pass on some of the savings to the consumer. But in concept and in theory, it's a win-win for everyone, especially the environment.
Kiara, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I definitely agree. I think, and honestly, if you have any sneakers, if anybody has any sneakers that are made from recyclable material or sustainable materials, they're comfortable as hell. So I got the waffle racer craters. Those are have recycled materials, and they are some of the most comfortable shoes ever. Like I I'm really, and as your sneaker collection grows, right? And I think I saw somebody ask the question too about how many pairs of sneakers. But yeah, when you think about, okay, collector, enthusiast, whatever it is that you want to call yourself, what's too much? You know what I mean? Like, is there too much? Because I'll say to myself, like, it's never too much, but it is. Like, how can I make sure that I'm contributing to making sure that we can breathe in 20 years? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is that something that we think about often? No. Should it be something that we consider a little more? Absolutely. I mean, because it benefits us all.
Jenna, Jerry, any thoughts on that on that side?
I think, like Kiera said, it's a win-win for everybody. They are really comfortable. I don't own a pair yet, but I have tried them on, and like she said, they are very comfortable, and it helps the environment, especially when you have things like climate change going on. It's really nice to see that they're taking recyclable materials and making sneakers out of them.
Oh. Jerry, of this collection that you have, any sustainable pairs or anything you have your eyes on? Any thoughts?
I really wanted a pair of the Space Hippies. They look really comfortable and they look really light too. That's another thing that I like about these recyclable shoes, is they're light. And another aspect is I think they're these sneaker companies' way of appealing to the next generations, millennials and Gen Z. They're really conscious about the environment we are and thinking about what our future is going to look like on this planet. So a way to kind of connect with them is saying, hey, we're trying to do our part as a sneaker company, and we're making these shoes that are both comfortable, they're good in performance, and they're going to save the environment. So I think, like it's been said by everybody, it's a win-win.
Well, I mean, Kara kind of touched on the next question I wanted to ask, and that's probably on the top of a lot of people's minds. We gotta hear the number. How big is your sneaker collection? And yes, we're gonna start with you, Jerry, because you talk about your dad having your Space Jams at home. So I know you got some boxes over there. How big is the collection now? And or do you feel like sharing too? You got to be able to feel comfortable sharing that.
My collection isn't that big. I'm a little picky about my shoes. So in 10 years, I've only amassed maybe 25, 30 pairs, no more than 30 pairs. So it's not too big. I'm getting it.
You're a disciplined man, but it's quality. You're focusing on quality over quantity. Huh?
Yeah.
That's fair. Jenna, I'll work back to you. Where are you looking at? So 2 pairs of AIs and then.
Ooh, like plus what I have in storage, like maybe 70, 80 pairs.
Damn. All right. And any duplicates in there? So you have the AIs, obviously. Anything that you kind of are keeping for? I think that's a pretty solid one. Is there anything you're keeping for posterity? Like I have a pair of Concords that will not touch ever. That's just like sitting in a box there. Is there anything that you hold dear?
No, I pretty much wear all of my sneakers at some point, whether it's just one time or I wear them all the time. I get good use out of them.
Dope. Kiara. Wait. Oh, you're just shaking your head.
Well, because I stopped counting. So I know I have at least 125. At least.
Damn. All right. That's solid. Is this even a question worth asking at this point, or you're ballparking?
So, and this is going to sound like I'm trying to like a flex or something, and it's not. So when I wrote Soul Food in 2008, okay, I haven't counted since 2008. In 2008, at publication date, I had 500 sneakers. So that was, and I haven't counted them then. Now I will say this: outside of maybe it may be like a handful of like a few pair that are still around. I sold my entire Air Jordan collection and financed Soul Food brand and the Soul Food brand that exists today. Like I took the profits for that, bought a couple shoes that I wanted, and went from Soul Food for what it looked like then to Soul Food now. But I had 500 pair in 2008, and these are people think like, how could you do that? Okay, me as a kid, me now, shoes don't look dirty. Okay, like if that was a whole thing. I would wear kicks to keep them from looking like I need to wear, like I had dirty shoes on. So the thing is, how do you keep from having your shoes look dirty? You make sure you got new shoes, right? And then the hot shoe today is a shoe that you can't buy today, right? So you would buy something and wait years to wear it. And I mentioned that in our production meeting. So yeah, in 2008, I had 500 pair then, even with selling my entire Jordan collection outside of having maybe a few pair that's still around. We're talking, 2008, 2021 minus 2008. And it's not like I've stopped buying shoes or people sending shoes. So I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you it's more than what it was in 2008.
Damn. Okay. There's actually a really interesting question here about the workplace, and Marsha dropped that one in there. And I'm interested to hear, you all work and across the board in different work environments. Are any of you working to normalize wearing sneakers in the workplace, particularly looking at post-COVID, what that was looking like before and looking like after? Like, what was that approach that you had in kind of representing yourself and kind of wearing shoes and sneakers in the workplace pre-COVID? What was that experience for you? And post-COVID, how do you see that changing? That's a pretty interesting question to kind of ask too, because obviously work leisure is not a thing. There's been a more approach like a relaxed work environment because everybody's seen everybody either in pajamas or a sweatshirt, right? At this point, you've seen your boss in a hoodie who used to be wearing a suit. So how do you see that change in your workplace, and what is going to be your approach as you go for it? I'll start. Actually, I'm pretty interested to hear from Jenna, obviously, because you're in an environment where you're allocating it differently. Like, how's that been, and how do you see that changing?
So luckily, I am actually in a store because I work for a retail store. And we have a pretty casual dress code. So if I want to wear my sneakers, I can, but I prefer not to because I don't wear anything that I care about because I don't want it to get messed up. But like I said, we're pretty casual. We can wear what we want to wear. So sometimes I do feel like wearing my sneakers so I can. But you always get that look like, oh, when'd you get those? Or what are those? And I think I don't know how it is in other workplaces, but in my workplace, sneakers are welcome. I've never had an issue with wearing sneakers. Like I said, we just transitioned to where we can wear jeans, so it's more relaxed. So yeah, I've never had an issue.
Jerry, you're in a bit more of a traditional work environment here as well. Pre-COVID, how was that, and how do you see that changing after?
Pre-COVID, I'd probably been in the corporate workspace for 3 years. I probably spent the first year, regular dress shoes, dressing up, getting everybody familiar with who I am. But once I kind of established myself in the workplace, I got tired of having to wait till the weekend to wear a pair of sneakers. And it seemed like I was only getting to wear like 4 pairs a month. So I said, forget it. Like, I'm going to wear a pair of sneakers that go with my work clothes. And I got looks at first. And after a few weeks, people just started asking me questions about them. Like, you get the, oh, what shoes are those? And then you always get the, where can I get a pair? You got kind of explain it to them like, yeah, but you don't think that you can just go out to Foot Locker and get a pair of these. So I think it's about just being yourself. Like, at first, you're gonna feel weird because you're being different, but that's why we all got into the game, is to be different. So as long as it goes with what you're wearing, and if you're a true sneaker enthusiast, your kicks are gonna look right and they're not gonna look too dirty. So as long as you're clean with it, like, it usually works. It's worked out for me. So post-COVID, I think I'm gonna go forward doing the same thing.
So dirty Air Force One's not doing it in the workplace, eh?
I don't think we're at that place yet. Not quite yet.
Kiara, you have that 9-to-5 vibe, and you kind of bridge all those worlds. How is that for you? I'm really interested to hear how you integrate that for you.
Yeah, so pre-COVID, I actually, for the most part, I work remote. Since I'm a consultant, I work in the financial services industry. So prior to that, I was working at another bank, but it was very traditional. If you're familiar with the financial, excuse me, the financial services industry, banking industry is it's so whitewashed and so straight, and you gotta, not necessarily wear a suit, but you gotta wear business casual. You got to put the little pumps on or put your flats on or whatever the case is. But now, post COVID, when I do have to go back and travel on site to my clients, I'm definitely wearing sneakers. I do not have a desire to be uncomfortable. I just really don't. If I have to be here, because I'm here so I won't get fined, but if I really have to be here, like, at least let me be comfortable. I mean, that's just what everything else will be, you know what I'm saying? I will make it friendly, but everything else is like, let me be comfortable, because who is it harming that I have on a pair of sneakers if I'm sitting behind a desk and then I'm getting up to walk around, stretch my legs, go get some lunch, and go back to the desk? So yeah, I'm definitely wearing sneakers when I have to go back to travel on client site.
So, Dr. King, you pioneered space in academia in a lot of ways with the course and, stomping your way across campuses and Ewing Athletic Highs, 33 Highs. How's that shift been? How have you seen that change across the industry through the years, and particularly for you too as well, establishing your brand basically in academia?
Man, let me tell you, the rejected stone has become the cornerstone when it comes to that. I can remember, so I've been in education in some aspects since 2002. And I remember getting ridiculed. I mean, legit, like, look at it, get a load of this guy, right? Ridiculed for doing that. And I was doing it when, like, there were days, like, back then when I taught middle school, there were like days with Gene Day, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm about to bust everybody's head. Like, everybody's about to get it today. Everybody can get it. On those Fridays, kids used to come all across the middle school and hang around my door waiting for me to get to work because they were trying to see. But here's the thing now. Now, in the post-COVID world, before COVID, and, the university, staunch traditionalists, but then I was doing it before the class, and then the classes gave me like a foray to do it, right? But the code before COVID was, if I came to work in sneakers, it's some real teaching about to go down today. I'm talking, this is one of those things that's going to make an impact in your life. And I'm saying that. Like, so the days I would actually wear sneakers to work at Johnson C. Smith is be like, oh, I'm about to earn my pay today. Not saying I didn't do it before, but it's like literally like putting on a pair of kicks to go on the court, right?
Right.
In a post-COVID world, we got the vice president of the United States associated with sneakers. The vice president of the United States, synonymous with sneakers and a specific sneaker. It is a wrap. When we're seeing Air Jordans worn to the inauguration, like it's a wrap. People have been wearing sneakers in weddings for years. So now that stigma of sneakers, like Dr. Gerald Dees, right? Dr. Gerald Dees with the song Felon Shoes. Felon Sneakers, excuse me. The song Felon Sneakers. If you never heard the song Felon Sneakers literally was the reason my Adidas was made. That was a diss track to Dr. Gerald Dees. And what he said in that song was, hey, all y'all that wear sneakers, man, you end up dead, bro. Like, you can't even afford a lawyer because you're buying sneakers. Like, only people who commit crimes wear sneakers. This is literally what this man was saying in the song. So that's the negative stereotype that has been associated with sneakers in the 80s, the 70s, and to a small extent the 60s. That's dead, right? It's dead, B, right? You got PhDs rocking sneakers on stages in classrooms. The vice president of the United States is wearing sneakers, and she's not working out. So what we're going to see is that, or what we are seeing is that it's normal. This is normal now. And in COVID, people are wearing like tights. Was it athletic wear on the bottom, Zoom like a suit top or a blouse or something is a wrap. This is normal from now on. This is what we're doing forever, right?
That work leisure life. It's our work leisure life. We have 3 minutes left for the event, so I just want to take the time, first of all, to thank you all, both for joining, but also just sharing so much for everyone that's here. Before we hop off, I just want to take a few minutes just to open the floor each individual to just share some last words and any words of encouragement on anything that you want to leave people with tonight, that's really important. We'll start from the right side of the screen here with Jerry and kind of work my way back through you, Dr. King. Any words you want to leave everybody with tonight, Jerry?
This year I've started looking into Black sneaker designers. So if anybody, can find local or, small businesses, specifically Black ones that are doing sneakers, like feel free to give your money to them too. Like they're not going to be shouted out on the blogs. Like people might not know what you're wearing, but they're going to like the shoes and be supporting a good cause. So if you can, buy Black.
So thanks, Jerry. Jenna, any last words for anyone here you want to share with the group?
I would just say, just continue to be true to yourself. Like, I know it's hard when you have social media and influencers trying to tell you what to buy. Just continue to do you and not care what anybody thinks. Just do you.
So Kiara, any parting words for anyone, anything you want to leave the group with?
Yeah, I just really honestly want to thank everybody for joining. The turnout was super crazy, and I'm just so grateful that, everybody took their time out to sit and listen to us so we can share our personal journeys and our personal stories. But I just want to leave everybody with, stay true to who you are. Like whatever it is that you're doing, it's important. You matter, you know what I mean? Whatever you're contributing to the sneaker culture, to the industry, in the realm of content creation or whatever it is that you're doing, like make sure that you understand that people are always watching you. So continue to be true to who you are. Like honestly, authenticity will always win, and it will always open doors and create opportunities for you no matter what. So I definitely just want to, I hope that everybody leaves here encouraged or at least inspired to continue to press forward in whatever their personal journey is, and the things or the different endeavors that they want to accomplish. So you're not alone. We are all human. We all, you're just not alone in whatever it is that you may be experiencing in your journey, and you have support. So thank y'all. I really, really appreciate it.
So thank you for sharing that, Kiara. It's important to hear. And Jerry, too, if you take a look at the chat, people are sharing a few pieces of information for you just to help in your search there. So take a quick look in the chat there. You'll see some information being piped in. Thank you for everyone in the audience there sharing for that for Jerry. Dr. King, you got the closing words for this evening.
Appreciate that. I'll just say, keep it short and simple. If you care, if you like it, or if you love it, learn everything you can about it. That's how you pay it forward. If it's an interest of yours, and I don't care what it is, if it's an interest of yours, there shouldn't be anybody who knows more about it than you. And I don't care what it is. So if you like it, invest in yourself by learning as much as you can about it. And that will make a way for you.
So knowing yourself and investing in yourself, that's an important point. Tara, from our side, any closing points as we wrap the evening from our side, Tara?
No, I definitely want to thank everybody for being here and being present tonight and sharing your thoughts throughout the chat. I'm sure our panelists feel very loved and appreciated as contributors to the culture and people that I've admired for many years now. So thank you, everybody, for being here and showing up with us.